Hello. So today I wanted to talk a little bit further about something I've been, mentioning a little bit about in past videos, which is the action part of the equation when it comes to the mental side of performance. A lot of you out there, you've probably read books, you've listened to podcasts, you've watched videos like this, and that's one part of the equation, is that information, that knowledge, understanding the information. But a big part of actually being able to have the mental skill sets and to develop the mental skill sets and to be able to, perform in the manner in which you would like to be able to really, uncover that true potential within you comes through action, comes through your behaviors. And it's really, really important to understand this in order to really get to that next level of your performance. And so one way to help to understand this and understand how we really get things into motion is there's these three components that is a great way to kind of look at it. There are 3 M's. So we have mindset, motivation, and methods. And we need the integration of all 3 of those things to really help us to put things into motion, to really take that information and put it into actionable steps that we can then do to help us to perform up to our potential. And so let's take a look a little bit further with this. If a lot of the time we maybe have 2 out of the 3 of these things, and then we have some of the equation, but we don't have the entire equation. So what I mean by this is, let's say you have the mindset and the motivation. This generally then leads to inspiration. You're really inspired, but you don't know the steps to do, and that comes from the methods. And so if you're really inspired, that's great, but if you don't know where to direct that inspiration, then it's not really going to go anywhere for you. And then if you have the motivation and the methods, generally that does help us to create that implementation part of the equation, but we still need the mindset. We need to have the mindset in order to help us with that implementation. And then if we just have mindset and methods, we know what we need to do, but generally then it just stays an idea, because we need that motivation to really, again, put things into motion. So each of these 3 things is really a key component to putting things into motion and to putting things into action. And really the evidence of anything is through action. You can talk about things all you want, but if you're not putting it into motion, if you're not changing your behavior, then it's just staying an idea. It's just kind of staying, you're just maybe inspired, but you're not really moving forward with that inspiration. So when we look at obviously sports psychology and the work that I generally do with athletes, right, we look at obviously the mindset that they need and helping them maybe to develop it if they don't have it to the extent that they need it. And then we look at motivation, and motivation is an interesting one because it really does come from within a person. And so in one sense, you can't instill motivation into a person, but you can look at helping to create the environment to help pull that out of a person. And in my next video, I'm going to really look at how do you sustain motivation, how do you create it. Motivation, really a big part of it comes from your purpose, from your vision, which is a big thing that I do with helping people to kind of figure that out for themselves. And then there are a couple other components. And then the methods are really a big key. It's a big key of why people come to see me, is those actionable steps, the methods that need to exist to push everything through into that implementation part of the equation. And so you got to have all 3. You got to have a way and to be able to have all 3. And so this is just something to think about, is while you're reading books or listening to the podcast, is making sure that you're also finding ways to make sure you have all 3, especially have that methods and implementation part of the equation, whether it's through an online course, which I also have and have some of my clients go through, which is an online course, or working with someone one-on-one. Those are really usually the big parts and advantages of working with someone like myself, is making sure you have all the components. But if you also are wanting to do it on your own, you really got to make sure, okay, do you have the mindset you need? Do you have the motivation and know how you can sustain that motivation? And then you have all the methods. You have every single method that you possibly can on the mental side in order to be able to put everything into motion and into the right motion in the right direction that's going to help you to accomplish what you're looking to accomplish.